You are listening to the Hire Fast podcast. In today's episode, I will talk about why your offer is so important. How will we flip the script on candidates and transfer the exhaustion and the decision making onto them? We will also talk about what you're doing today and all the time that you're wasting. How we'll fix it, and we're going to introduce you to the future of the hiring process. Today's going to be a good one. Let's go.
The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Hire Fast podcast, a podcast aimed at educating you on hiring the right person for the right job and keeping them. Are you sick of spending precious time and energy hiring and training people just to have them turn around and quit? Then join Alan and his guests on Hire Fast as they teach you how to skillfully motivate and attract rock star talent. Now here is your host, Alan Davida.
Hello. I want to thank you for listening to the Hire Fast podcast. I want this podcast to be a source for you to attract and hire and recruit better people, create employee engagement and retention. That's what it's all about. And to develop people and get them to do what they're supposed to do and to make the world a better place one employee at a time by helping them become a rock star. So just want to recap, the SMART system is a 4-step blueprint to transform your company's employee engagement and retention. Skillfully motivate, attract rock star talent. Today we're talking about attract, the third part of the framework. And we've already talked about what we're looking for, our avatar, the type of employee that we're looking for. Today we're going to talk about the process. So the last episode we talked about, this thinking that we've done before, and with this old way of thinking, and it's not getting us any results. So we have to change the way we're thinking. And we talked about 2 companies that I went out and talked to. One company, they both use totally different processes to find employees. One they called Panning for Gold. They would, kind of take everybody, and then they would look for the good ones, and they'd throw everybody else away. And then the other one, they called it Diamonds in the Rough. They would look for that one shiny, awesome employee, and they would just nurture them and take all their time turning them into, someone that was so awesome they were kicking butt in their company. So when I looked at what these other companies did, it all made sense. However, it wasn't exactly what I needed, so I wanted a combination of the two. I wanted to take a blend of what they were both doing. And the avatar that I was looking for was, there's 2 different types of people. There was typical people, and there were better people. And there were super differences in between the 2 of them. The typical people, these were the kind of people that they traded time for money. That's all they cared about. How many hours a week am I going to get? This type of thing. But the better people, what I noticed over time, they were asking different questions. They cared about all that stuff. They want to get paid, right? It had to be part of the conversation. But there were other things that interested them: culture, environment, our products, our brand, our mission, their growth. They wanted to be connected to the coworkers. They wanted to be recognized and affirmed. And they cared about training and learning. So these are the guys that I really wanted to focus on. These are the guys that are going to get me where I want to go. They're going to help me get the things that I need. And I needed to find this difference between interviewing, right, which is what everybody else is doing, but I wanted to recruit, right? I wanted to make better decisions faster, and I needed to find better fits. So I created this decision tree, and we talked about this. So this, really quickly, I could make a process that, are you a typical person? Are you a better person? Or are you not a good fit, right? And I could have the courage to walk away from you. So, all right, let's get into it. So what you need is a better process. So what would life look like if you had a semi-automatic process to help you find perfect fits? Think about what you're doing today, right, and all the manual steps in the process, but imagine if it was semi-automated. Right? You could control the flow. You could control the valve of employees. And think about what it costs you daily, weekly, and monthly to convince people to come work for you, right? You chase around all these candidates that end up ghosting you, right? They just ignore you. The earth's flat. They fall off the end, right? They take all this time to start engaging with you, and then they just disappear, right? And the time that it takes to follow up, make sure they show up for an interview, and then they ultimately may or may not show up. And then when you finally get them in front of you, all the time it takes to take them through whatever your process is, and then you can't close them at the end. You have to get to a place where you stop having this need to always be hiring people, right? And I'm going to show you how to get there. So every single interaction that I have, I look at my promise, right? What I want for my company and organization. And I want all my employees to be fully engaged and to care for our guests and their coworkers. And you remember we took 6 episodes going through what care means. So every single time I look at a candidate, this is what's in my mind. Can this person help me deliver on the promise? So it all started, and we talked at length about this, the compensation plan. So I'm going to switch it up a little bit. I'm going to call this an offer, right? A grand slam offer. We're going to go to people, and we're going to show them what we have to offer. So I have a question for you. Do you have an offer, a compensation plan that's written out, right? Or is it all in your head, right? Do you just change it up on the fly every time you have someone in front of you? Does it help you reach your goals? If the answer is no to any of that, you're spinning your tires in the mud. You're never going to find the avatar. You're never going to find the right person that you're looking for, right? You're never going to find that rock star or a person that you can develop into a rock star, right? That goes back to that company, that the diamond in the rough, right? Just because the person is not a right candidate or a perfect candidate, we can turn them into that. Now, if you have trouble with your compensation plan, if you're saying to yourself, man, I don't know what this guy's talking about, give me a call, right? You look at the information below. At the end of this podcast, I'm going to give you all my info. We'll come in, and in 4 hours, I will transform your current offer into a Grand Slam offer. So before you go out and you place all these ads and you start going to market, because this is what everybody wants to do. They want to I just need 5 people, so I'm just going to go out there and market. We got to get some stuff right. So that's what today is about. Today we're going to talk about the whole process of how to use these tools and these systems and how to put them in place so they work for you. So we got to get a few things right. So let's just pretend you have a candidate in front of you, right? Once you get good at how to handle that candidate, then you can go out and place all these ads and stuff. So you got to think about this. And I know I've mentioned this before, but the average candidate blasts out like 20 applications. And the reason why, it's not that they're doing all this work. It's Indeed and ZipRecruiter and HireMe and all these job boards. They've made it really easy to click 3 buttons and just blast out and blanket out and spiderweb out all these applications. This is why you're getting ghosted, right? It could be a multiple other reasons too. It could be that your offer is not good enough. It could be that your messaging kind of sucks, right? It could be that your whatever you're putting out there is not compelling enough, or you look like everybody else, right? So you just kind of blend. It's like trying to find a drop of water in the ocean, right? But this is why you don't get the candidates and you're getting ghosted, right? Indeed, and all these companies, their job, they make money by your need to keep having to hire. Right? So that's why they give these candidates the ability to blanket out tons of applications. So the candidates are always looking for a job. They're leaving you, they're bouncing over here. And this constant cycle repeats itself over and over again. So your current game today, in a nutshell, right? And it's different for everybody, but this is where I'm assuming your process looks like, is that you bring in a candidate somehow. Maybe it's one of these job boards. Maybe someone drops an application on your front door, or your front counter of your restaurant. So you get that info in, right? Now, you make an attempt to schedule an interview with them, right? So you reach out to them. Sometimes they respond right away. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes you email, text, you call. This is all wasting your time, right? So this is one of the places that the time gets spent. Then, maybe they ignore you, maybe they actually schedule an interview, and then they don't show up for the interview. And you say to yourself, man, why did they did all this work to come to me, to reach out to, and then they just disappeared? Like, why did they go through all that effort? They don't show up, right? So most times, you have to put this fake face on. And I know I did this for years, right? I would be annoyed, in my restaurant, I'd be doing stuff. I would forget about the interview and the person would actually show up, right? So now I would rush into this process. I'd put on this fake face because, I need people. So I don't want to scare this person off. But the reality is I'm annoyed that I even have to do it, right? So I don't have a consistent process. I know this is true for you and some of your people. So you go in, you rush through, you just start anything that pops in your head, you start asking questions. You know, in your defense, you say to yourself, I've done this for years, like I know what I'm doing, right? But you have no real plan, right? You have no start and you have no end point. So you're just trying to gather as much info as you can from the person. But you've actually already made a decision to hire this person, right? So, but here's the real problem in this whole process. Everything that you've done is you think you have the control, but you don't. The other person has the control. They're going to do whatever they think. Right? So this is another way you're wasting a ton of time. So you do this dance and it all ends up to the same place every single time. How much money am I going to make? Right? So maybe you dicker with the candidate a little bit because, you know, through all the questions and the things that you asked and the stories that they told you, you find that they don't have the skill sets that they said they would have, or they're not consistent. So you don't want to pay them the money, right? So you do this back and forth dance, right? And it happens over and over again. So the candidate will tell you, well, this is what I made at my last job. So they don't like your offer because they don't, you know, they're comparing it to what they made at their last job, but they're not at their last job. They're sitting in front of you, right? For a reason. So sometimes what will happen too is the candidate will get quiet. They'll just kind of stop talking because they just want out of there, and their plan is to ghost you and go look at the next job. You know, and all of this stuff is just wasting massive amounts of time and money. So you try to close, right? And in many aspects, you're trying to get them to start work right away. Can you start tomorrow? Can you start Tuesday, right? And they're not playing. Or, I think this is a bigger red flag. They say, when can I start? Can I start today? Right? That's telling you something. That's telling you that no one else really wanted them and they need to get going right away because maybe they've made mistakes in their other jobs or whatever it was, right? But all of this stuff, it's causing this revolving door, right? This is what's happening today. This is what I meant when I said the same old thinking, it produces the same old results, right? I had someone say to me one time, listen, man, it's a pig. You can put all the lipstick on it you want, but at the end of the day, it's still a pig. Now, I'm not calling anybody a pig. What I'm calling a pig is the process, right? The way that we do the same thing over and over again, and we try to get a different result. We have to do it differently. Everything is different today. So we got to call a new play. And I remember I had told you this story. So what happens is we go out to Indeed, right? Flood all, or ZipRecruiter, any one of these job boards, and flood in all of these applications come flying in, right? You get 40 of them in. 30 of them, you're convinced that they're not even real people because none of the people respond to you. So this would happen to me over and over and over again. So I had to even go deeper into the process to sort through all that. Right? And I remember I was telling you guys a story one time a few episodes ago where I had this pizza manufacturing line. I used to work with frozen retail pizza, and the pizzas were flying down the line, and if there was an imperfection in the pizza, the equipment would blow air and knock a pizza off the line. And when I saw that, I said, man, I need a system like that when I get this flood of 40 applications in, and 30 of them aren't even going to play ball with me, or maybe they don't exist, or maybe they've already gotten a job somewhere else. I need to sort through this stuff quickly because somewhere in there's the candidate that I need. So I need to sort through this process. So this is where I need that understanding of the difference between interviewing and recruiting. And I need to sort through, get right to the right person, and then go get them. So I created, instead of recruiting, I switched it. I called it the fit test. I need the right fit, right? People always want to know what's in it for them. And you know what? That's okay, fair enough, right? But what about us, right? What about the people on our side, the restaurant owners that pay the bills, that write the checks, right? We never made it about money. Everybody else did, right? Employees did. The government did, right? So they put these things on us. But we just need production. We need happy people to take care of our customers, man. We need people that just do their job. They're consistent, right? They do what they say. But it seems like every candidate we get, or most of the candidates we get, don't do that, right? They have their own agendas. So this is where, when I talk to you guys about that decision tree, right? Are they a typical person? Are they a better person? Do I need to walk away from this person? If we have to be able to make that quick process decision over and over again really fast. I remember I had this friend, he developed software for toll booths in New Hampshire and Massachusetts. And I remember him telling me, and this is the old toll booths, they would drop the quarter in or the quarters or whatever it was, and you would hear it go through the machine, and 2 results came out, either a green light or the light stayed red, and it spit out the quarter at the bottom. What it was doing is a 56-point checklist. It was checking that quarter, scanning it, weighing it, measuring it, wiping the metal. It was doing all this stuff to say, hey, is this a real quarter, right? We need a similar process. You know, the light would turn green, you go, right? Same thing here. Do we see everything we like? Is this person a great fit for us? All right, let's engage. So to make this process happen, once we've got the offer and we've got all the other pieces in place, like I talked about, we have to set this frame. What do I mean by frame? Right, so I'm going to give you the definition of what I mean by a frame. A frame is the underlying constructural system or structure that gives something shape or strength, right? So what does that mean, right? It's how we do things, right? This is what we have. You can take it or leave it, right? It's all about the fit. We want to get rid of that emotion. We want to just focus on the facts. Can you do the things I need or can't you, right? Stop spinning the tires in the mud. If we don't get what we need, none of this matters, right? We can't operate our business. So let's talk about the actual process. Now that we've talked about your process and what you do, let's talk about the new process, the future of what hiring really looks like. So what if we could take all that stress, all that pressure, and transfer it to the candidate? How many times have you done an interview and you were exhausted after? You were just like spent physically and mentally, right? No more. It's because you did all this convincing and all this arguing. So what if we could transfer all that over to the candidate, right? No more convincing, no more arguing, no more feeling exhausted or frustrated. Put all the decision making into their hands, right? So they can take an action or not take an action, right? The door swings both ways. It's okay if it's not for them, right? This is what I mean by take that emotion out, right? We speak their love language, right? People love the phones. They love technology. They love scanning QR codes. They like, texts and emails. This is the process today. The paper application is gone, right? You may get one randomly here and there, but how many times have you got a paper application, you put it on your desk, it fell on the floor, went under the cabinet, right? And you're like, damn it, where'd that application go? Let's get rid of this process, right? Let's use the technology for what it is. We turn it digitally, it's always there for us. What if we could, in this process, what about introducing the candidate to our company? What if they don't know a lot about us, right? We could do a quick video, because we're using technology, that says, hey, this is us, this is what we are, this is what we're about, this is our product, this is our mission. Get them engaged in our company, right? Now, we go to the next step of collecting all the information we need, and we have fun with it. With the video and audio, we get their job description, their education history, their references, all this stuff, right? Personality introduction. We get the things that we need. We haven't met them yet. We haven't scheduled an interview yet, right? We're getting all this data that we need, right? And everything is focusing on the fit, the candidate fit. Are they a right fit for us, right? Then we go into the first step in the process. I call it pay to play, right? So they customize their own compensation based off of the things we need. Oh my God, what a concept, right? We need people that work weekends. Well, let's pay differently for that. Right? We need people that show up in the morning and open the store or close the store. Whatever it is that you need that you're not getting now, let's put it in there. Let's compensate towards that, right? Stop getting the people that, that come in, they want to work Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, 9 to 2. I love them, but they just don't have a lot of value. They don't help me run the company, right? There is a place for them if we want, but they don't do the things that we need. So we have to focus on what we need. You do this, you get this. You do this, you don't do this, you don't get this, right? Pretty simple, right? And it sounds simple. The candidate builds their own pay rate. So now the next step in the process is pay to perform, right? This is where we go wrong. This is where we blend too much, right? There's things that we need. I call them KPIs, key performance indicators. So this is that separation of the typical versus the better people. Listen, you can't change who people are. They're going to do what they're going to do. But what you can do is present a different option to them, right? So I added in compensation based on key performance metrics, right? Give you an example. So maybe in your company, you don't want people that smoking in your restaurant. Okay, that's a KPI, right? Say, listen, I'll compensate differently if you don't smoke on the premise. Now, if you do smoke on the premise, this rate goes away, right? What is it that you want? What are the things that drive you crazy? Do people talk on their cell phone all the time? That's one I know that drives everybody nuts, right? Every time you turn around the corner, boom, cell phone comes out, right? Does that drive you nuts? Put it in there. Now, the candidate has to make a decision. They want more money? They put the cell phone away, right? Instead of you having to be the one walking around with a hammer all the time looking for nails because they're always on their cell phone. Put it in there. This is what I've done. I've seen great success with this. And what I do is I explain each step in the process to the candidate through video or audio. I say, listen, this is how we do this. This is why we do this, right? Here's what's in it for you if you do what I need you to do. It's beautiful. Now, the next step, which I think is the most important step, everybody says from day one, I tell people X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3. Well, I'm going to take it one step farther. I tell people things at day 0. They haven't even started yet, and I'm telling them already what they need to do to work here, right? Here's what you do. Here's what you get. Here's how you get it. The next step is about retention, right? We start building it in today, right? The roadmap for you to grow and expand working here starts now, right? We bring you in. The most important thing in our company is our culture and environment. So we start right now. The roadmap for you to make more money is for you to demonstrate and live our culture all the time. You get additional compensation for that. It's all based around care, right? Connection, affirmation, responsibility, and environment. These are the things we need to build a high-performance team. This is how I maintain the consistency and the nurturing of my culture and environment all the time. This is what I have to thrive. And I start it from day 0. So this is the process. So next week, we're going to talk about how to execute this process like a ninja. So listen, do not go this alone. I've spent 4 years testing this in my own restaurants and refining this process over and over again. I have not hired an employee in 7 months, saving me massive time and energy. I've paid nothing to the job boards. I've doubled sales projections in my new QSR. So listen, go to the Smart System, go to getsmartsystem.com. I want you to click on Take Action Now, book a call, use the code ATTRACT, and I'm going to reduce the setup fee of this tool. I call it the Hire Perfect Fits Fast tool, from $10,000 to $5,000 if you use the code ATTRACT, if you listen to this podcast. If you're tired of consistently dealing with candidates who don't fit, Hire Perfect Fits Fast is the solution you need. Book a call today. Thanks so much for listening. You can email me at alan@getsmartsystem.com. You can visit me at getsmartsystem.com. You can call me at 188-3SMART5. If you haven't already click subscribe or follow, please do below so I can keep you up to date on how to hire fast. Ciao for now.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.